Nineteenth-century Unitarian minister William Ellery Channing said, "I am a living member of the great family of All Souls." And it is in this sanctuary that our family of All Souls gathers each week for worship, as the past, present, and future of our congregation come together. The evergreen beyond the arched window shelters the ashes of our loved ones. It is here we gather, family and friends, to say our final farewells. It is here we gather when couples pledge their love of one another before the world. It is here we gather when youth come of age and speak the meaning of the religion of their hearts. And it is here we gather to dedicate our infants and children, watched over by that tree, encompassed by a mighty cloud of witnesses.
All Souls is a congregation of people who are committed to using their lives to make the world a better place. We bring different backgrounds and perspectives, and when we come together, we strengthen our connections with one another and broaden our outreach into the world. Join me for a few minutes to learn more about this remarkable faith community.
For many of us, this simple and serene sanctuary is where our week both begins and ends. We enter as a homecoming, carrying the elements of the week with us. Our hurts and disappointments, our joys and successes, our fears and anxieties, our hopes and our dreams. And through the experience of worship, souls filled with beautiful music, we are comforted and confronted, educated and inspired by the words and wisdom handed down through our ministers. We look out through the clear glass windows at the world and leave transformed, energized, and inspired to do our part to change the world.
The people of All Souls were a force in the Tulsa community long before there was a church building. Two pioneers stand out. The Lloyd Jones family published a daily newspaper. Engineer W.R. Holway brought clean Spavinol water to Tulsa. They recognized a liberal religious voice was as necessary to the healthy development of a community as the daily news and clean water. The Church of All Souls was born when Tulsa was considered the rough frontier. The church was dedicated to religion, but not to creed. Reason and tolerance were valued over fear and dogma, a church that nurtured the hearts and minds of leaders who would bring Tulsa together.
A congregation that is composed of people from all traditions and faith is a remarkable thing. We celebrate it in worship, a worship that is joyful and loud and often controversial because we speak to the issues of the times. We speak to the conscience of the culture. We speak to the needs of people of all kinds, and we're not afraid. That's the beauty of it all. When you have a congregation that broad, that inclusive, I used to be able to say just about anything I wanted to from this pulpit in this church. And as a result, we became, as one of my colleagues once said of another denomination, and it was a great compliment to us, that All Souls is the conscience of Tulsa.
All Souls through the years has served as a catalyst for unity and change in our community. This church supports and houses the open debate that must take place for a democracy to thrive. It is Tulsa's voice of justice, equity, and compassion. That voice is heard each Sunday from the lips of All Souls members.
Love is the spirit of this church.
We join in worship and in celebration and support of one another through Day Alliance, Evening Alliance, branches, social seniors, youth groups, newcomers, supper club, and mostly Unitarian moms and dads.
And service is its law.
We model deeds, not creeds, through Jackson Adopt-A-School, tutoring at Gilcrease, Team Hamilton, the Laura Dester Shelter, housing outreach of Unitarian souls, rebuilding together, religion in action, village banking, our partner church in Transylvania. Results: the Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual, and Transgender Project, and meals at the Day Center for the Homeless.
This is our great covenant.
Celebrated by our wonderful music program, the Adult Choir, the Young Adult Vocal Ensemble, Counterpoint, the Youth Choir, Children's Choir, and Junior Choir.
To dwell together in peace.
Our quest for acceptance and inclusion is rooted in an emphasis on our commonalities rather than our differences.
To seek the truth in love.
With lifespan religious education classes on Sundays, Wednesday Connections, and adult continuing education, as well as seminary for a day, the John Wolfe Lectures, branches groups, and community educational events.
And to help one another.
Our lay pastoral ministries raise volunteerism to a professional level through the care team, grief recovery, Alzheimer's support, and the parish nurses.
At All Souls, we celebrate the simple gifts of life each day. The P.S. Gordon painting in our foyer, called Simple Gifts 2, depicts our heritage with symbolism, expressing different aspects of our faith tradition.
Because of the size and strength of All Souls, we are able to reach out to all ages. Our small group ministry program, known as Branches, helps members find intimacy, even in a large church setting. There are 2 Sunday morning services and Wednesday night chapels, and our Soulful Sundown service presents worship in a new light.
Supporting our congregation is a ministerial and lay staff dedicated to the service of all souls and to one another as members of a creative, energetic, and spiritually growing team.
All kinds of families bring their children to All Souls for a liberal religious education, free from fear and dogma. They find a lifelong learning community with strong role models for themselves as well as for their children. Our practice of giving away the offering each Sunday has changed our attitudes toward giving, as well as changing lives out in the world. After all, isn't that what church is all about? It's about being a place where we can become agents of transformation, and in the process, find ourselves transformed.
All Souls has grown from a small group meeting in City Hall to a flagship congregation in the Unitarian Universalist Association. Our 4.5-acre campus and 55,000 square foot building sit in the heart of Midtown Tulsa. The splashing fountains of our memorial garden sing a song of celebration of lives well lived and souls no longer with us. Every inch of this place is a memorial to those who have come before us, leaving a legacy of love, the light and the gifts of life, and the inspiration and support to do our part to make our world a better place.
At the heart of All Souls, there's a commitment to connections and calling. By honoring our connections, we realize that relationships are the most important part of our lives. These include our connections to ourselves, our families, our neighbors, the earth and its inhabitants, and to the ultimate source of life. When we speak of calling, we're affirming that every child is born with unique gifts to offer the world. Our religious task throughout our lives is to discover and develop our gifts, and then to share our gifts for the common good. When we find that place where our gifts intersect with the world's needs, we've found our calling. As a church community, together we also have a calling. All Souls has long stood as a voice of reason, tolerance, and justice in our community, offering inspiring worship and joyous yet dignified observances of life's transitions. Today we also strive to become a model church of generosity, possibility, and religious freedom. 3 things this world desperately needs in our time. We welcome all who seek a religious home based in a strong sense of calling and deepening connections. One that strives to see possibilities, to engender generosity, and to participate in the sacred process of freedom's unfolding. We welcome you to join us on our journey.